Welcome to the Colorado Real Estate Leaders Podcast, brought to you by Trailstone Insurance Group, bringing you interviews with Colorado's best real estate and mortgage professionals, empowering you to understand the current trends in the housing market so you can make the American dream your reality. Enjoy today's episode.
Well, it's a great day in Colorado, and welcome to the Colorado Real Estate Leaders Podcast. Today, we have with us V. Lockwood, who's a Colorado real estate agent with Sentry Residential. V, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, and I am excited to be here speaking to you guys.
Yeah, I always love talking with new people and getting perspectives on their views of the economy and the area and real estate. And so it's always a fresh approach. So I would love to hear your background, what got you into real estate in the first place. And then we'll just kind of chat about what you do and how you serve your clients.
Well, thank you, Mark. Let's start off with pretty much I'm just a mom in Colorado. I have 3 kids and a husband, and I'm out here striving for my family. A background about myself is I grew up living in a household with 2 parents, with my mom and my dad, and I have a big family. There's a lot of siblings. Pretty much I sleep in the living room for most of my life as a young child to a teenager. And we were in poverty. Making money was tight to us. My parents was living paycheck to paycheck. Growing up, I was always interested in real estate, just didn't know how to get into real estate because, living with Asian parents, English is not their second language either. Most of the time I was their translator. Mm-hmm. And, for a kid, translating for your parents are very scary.
Sure.
You're talking to big adults. You don't know what you're saying, and you're just trying to understand life while you're growing up too. So there's a big, you would say baggage on me growing up because I have to carry the American dreams my parents have and their expectation of me growing up. I went through a lot of stuff in my life that makes me realize life is hard, but it's just how you perceive life and how you take upon your experiences in a good way or a bad way. And I try to look at everything in a positive way. How I got into real estate was pretty much my husband encouraged me because growing up I have lack of education because my parents, they couldn't teach me enough about America, and going to school was hard because I'm learning a second language. And then I tried to run a business, a restaurant business, and that deferred me. A lot of obstacles hit on my way trying to build my restaurant business. And, the fastest way I can think of is being in real estate. I listened to Rich Dad, Poor Dad and understand more about finances. My husband educated me on my finance and budgeting skills, and now I'm here. Currently, I have 2 rental homes, closing on my 3rd home right now, and got my real estate license when I was pregnant. My son came out a week after I passed my real estate license. So wow. I was very proud of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I hear that, it just is a confirmation that you have your family values first, from early on, honoring mom and dad, supporting, working with mom and dad, and now helping others achieve their American dream, with real estate. And also you're not just going, oh, you ought to get some rental properties. You're doing it. You're modeling
Yeah.
what people should be doing. So I think that's so important. And, it's so much more than just a transaction, because anyone can learn the business. Anyone can say, sign these papers and here's this home. Let's go in and do the open house and you can buy this house. It's the American dream. It's that feeling and it's that like legacy that you're helping people to build. So I think that is such a huge vision and mission that you have. And I really applaud that.
Thank you. And tackling back on, people, first time home buyer, or just people who just currently trying to sell or buy homes right now. And there's a lack of communications with agents, with their clients. And I can see that when I was going through transactions. So that's why I believe I could be somebody valuable in their life, when they're looking for a home or selling a home, because they're just, like I said, like everything you do, you got to communicate to your client, but not just your client, but everybody else around you, which is the lender, the seller's agents as well, or other agents around you to help get the connection and support you need to benefit your client the most. And with all the transaction I went through, there was lack of communication. My husband and I was the one getting on them, trying to understand everything. And a lot of agents don't have, I would say, the time to put out to educate you on these things that you're going through, because a home purchase is a big thing for them, especially if this is their first home or they're working so hard to build their family and build a better life for their family as well, or themselves.
Well, the interesting thing is, statistically, people buy or sell or move out of their home every 5 to 7 years or whatever that number is. So whatever experience someone had going through the transaction process the first time or the second time, they've forgotten. So that communication piece is so critical each and every time. You can't just treat this client that, you guys have had 3 houses in the past, so let's just ignore them because they obviously know what the situation is. And that's not the case. So I think that's a huge, valuable piece of advice you just gave, not only in business, but personally, is communication. And, you think about passing along, values to your family and your kids. And I tell my kids this so many times, just, return phone calls, return emails, because that'll set you head and shoulders above the rest. And I'll bet you that you have one business and achieved and earned business from people. Probably one of the deciding factors was, man, when I needed her, she's there. And when I texted or when I called, she was there. And I appreciate that. And maybe other people in the real estate industry that they might have worked with in the past, they kind of roll their eyes and go, oh, I can't ever get hold of them. Well, that's a huge value proposition that you bring to your clients.
Yeah, it's always a good thing to hear from your clients. It's when you don't hear from them, that's when it hurts you. And that's what a lot of agents doesn't understand, is that busy is good, because busy builds your business. And when your phone call is ringing up from clients, that means you put value into them, and you're giving value to them, that they're contacting you for a reason. So there's always a meaning to why they're calling you, and you should always value that and respect that as well. And I care about each and every one of my clients that I speak to. I give them the time that they need. My biggest tool that I have is doing what I say. Be prompt about everything that you do. Make sure if you tell them you're going to send them something, do it right away. Like, even if it squeezes a little bit of time of your day to do it, just do it right away, because it's easier to get it done as soon as possible than to push it out and then make them wait on you. And then you're just, scrambling up time just to figure something out. And you can't do that.
Absolutely. And, when your phone rings, that's probably because you've been out networking and done a good job, and your reputation precedes you and your clients are referring you. So what type of client are reaching out to you? Are they typically buyers or first-time home buyers or sellers? What is your mix of working with clients?
It's a mix of everything. With Sentry Residential, I do focus on military, but that's not limiting me because I care about everybody else that I speak to. So right now I'm currently working with a buyer from Ohio and a seller from Texas. And they have a seller from Texas has the land in Colorado that they're wanting to list their land on the market. So I get my source mostly from anywhere and everywhere, and it's mostly from social media. Having that free advertisement for me gets me everywhere and get my word out. So
Yes.
I'm shocked as well getting clients from other locations that was my first experience too. So it surprised me because I thought, most of my clients will be from friends or family, but it's not. It's everywhere. You're going to be shocked that you'll have a phone call out of nowhere during the day and just out of nowhere, a client is asking you, are you via Lockwood? I saw your Instagram post or I saw your Facebook and I really needed a real estate agent. So
well, the
don't
well
be
will
shocked
run
when
dry
you get phone
quickly if you're only relying on friends and family, and you don't want
Yes.
them to roll their eyes and go, "Oh, here comes V again with their hand out looking for." So, boy, when they can see your success from your initiative. I mean, that really is initiative. A lot of people aren't comfortable putting themselves out there or making that poster, that video, or, being visible publicly. But that right there is a very strong business proposition. And then when the public then sees your response to that, and then maybe some back and forth communication, then that just amplifies your service to that client all through the lens of social media.
Yeah, I would say the hardest clients that you'll probably receive would be families and friends because you already have a relationship in with them.
Right.
Their expectation of you is quite different from strangers.
Yeah, exactly. And nothing wrong with friends and family. It's just, wow, what a strong proposition that you have to reach out to develop new relationships and networking. So let's talk a little bit about the Colorado real estate market. What's going on? What are you seeing? What are your clients needing that you're providing advice and service on?
The Colorado market right now, it's still the seller's market, but it's shifting. The interest rate has gone higher for our buyers here. And, with interest rate being high, buyers are having a hard time getting their loans in, getting approved, and also financing the loan as well. So there's going to be a shift where you'll see currently where you see there's going to be less competition for buyers because there's going to be less buyers out there. And you'll probably starting to see that homes are going to be sitting a while in Colorado for now.
Well,
it's
because it's been so hot. Yeah, it's been such a bustling environment. Maybe it's going to sit for 2 whole weeks rather than 2 whole hours. But that really is an expectation for people to be thinking of. So how do you prepare your clients for some of those interest rate increase, slower approval time? What are you doing to help them set their expectations?
Making sure that they talk to their lender, making sure that they know what they're financing, and keeping them where their budget is at for the sale price, making sure they're not, looking for homes that are above their approved price because that's what they're financed for or approved for the loan, and just keeping them engaged with the market, continue to educate them about the market and the offers that they're sending in. And once you work your way through all these humps and obstacle courses, you'll have a good gauge of where they're at, and then come up with a closing costs and everything. Once all those come into play, they're going to have a better gauge on feeling more secure and safe on their purchase.
Yep.
So it's mostly about educating them about everything that they have, and their biggest tool would be their lenders.
Yes, the team. You've got your team that V Lockwood puts together, which is people from your company, external partners like lenders and whoever else that you need to rely on, because you cannot know everything about everything. And if you said that you do, you're not going to be an expert. So be good at what you know, and then bring in some of those external experts. And then your clients feel taken care of. And of course, they know that you're not a mortgage expert, a title company expert, whatever those areas are. So when you bring them in to serve the clients, they feel well taken care of. And I think then that adds to what we've been talking about. The communication is very enhanced then, because they understand what the next step is and the next step after that.
Yeah. In this industry, you can't just communicate with one person only. You have to branch out, and you have to do multiple communication in a day just to make sure your client is taken care of. So, if you're sending an offer in, you got to make sure you're talking to the listing agent to build a relationship with them as well, and making sure they're comfortable with your offer, or just building a good rapport with them, so next time, if they have a different listing and you have a different client or anything like that, you already have initially planted that seed to speak to them, build a good relationship with them. And then you also have to build connections with lenders, insurance companies as well, insurance agents, and mostly the client that you're working with. You have to, in a day, I'm picking up multiple calls, and it's just not just for my clients. It's making several phone calls just to make sure my client is safe with their purchase, with their finance and everything. And if they're comfortable or they're safe with proceeding with the purchase,
I think that that's a really interesting point too, because it's like, let's say that something concerning comes up, hey, we got the home inspection back, or hey, whatever the case might be. Don't hide from that, communicate it, and then tell the client, okay, here's some options. Here's some things you can do. What do you think? And here's the pros and cons. And here, I think that's the point where that communication and that trust really gets built, because if you try to run from something and they find out later or too late, then they feel like you were trying to push one way or the other, but it's their call. You just lend your advice and expertise to helping them navigate through that decision.
Yeah. And a lot of clients nowadays, buyers, they're just thinking, a lot of real estate agents, they get their, license and they just want to close on a transaction or something. And they're wary of you as well. Are they helping me look for a home, or are they trying to close on a transaction? So being upfront and honest about everything that comes into their transaction, even if it's minor, you still need to disclose it, and you still need to communicate it with them, because you're working as a team and not just by yourself. So when you sign a contract or commit to a client, you're together working as a team and not as an individual. And I think a lot of agents need to understand that as well. That's how teamwork works, in soccer, football, or anything.
Yeah.
You have to communicate to plan your next move. And it'll be better if you have everybody on the same page than having somebody else thinking somewhere else, and then you try to play back and forth with the communication afterwards. Doesn't work out.
Does not at all. I've said so many times that sometimes the best marketing is a job well done, because when that client feels like you knew what you're talking about, you kept them in the loop, you communicated, you gave good advice, and that transaction came together, you brought in team members where needed, and you came to a smooth closing, you can expect that they're going to be your walking ambassadors. They're going to be hearing one of their friends at school and church or library or wherever going, oh my word, you need to talk to V because maybe someone's going to complain about their agent and their transaction. Oh, let me get you in touch with me. I think that right there is such a huge piece, and you can spend all kinds of marketing dollars, but if you don't back it up with great service and taking care of your client, it doesn't yield as much as treating people great each and every transaction. So I love your approach to business, V. Let's wrap up with this. What's a valuable piece of advice that someone gave you during your career that you have been, building in addition to the communication we've been talking about?
Biggest key that I learned would be patience. You need to have patience with every person you're talking to. Whether if it's a listing agent client or another real estate agent, transactional coordinator, anybody that you come into, even if it's your family too, or friends, you have to be patient because you're always waiting on them and you can't push everything forward and move them along. It's on their timeline as well. But if you have the patience to it, everything will work out on its line as long as you're prompt with everything that you do. Even if you're getting your license, you're out here learning everything that you can, take things one at a time because there's just so many things that you have to learn. But as long as you chip in time to learn it every day, you're going to learn it. You're going to get better. And I would say, like, even if you fail, it's okay. Get back up and do it again because 5 years from now, the failure that you've been through, is it going to make any difference or are you going closer to your goals and dreams? Yeah. So
love it.
That's very important to me is learning and keeping in mind to continue to be patient with every person I speak to.
Excellent. Well, I love it. It's been a real pleasure talking with you. So if someone is listening to this and wanting to reach out and connect with you, what's the best way that they can contact you, V?
So I do have my cell phone number. It is 618-365-0149. You can talk to me directly, or you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at the Lockwood.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a real pleasure talking with you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you as well, Mark. Thank you for having me, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for listening to the Colorado Real Estate Leaders Podcast, brought to you by Trailstone Insurance Group. To learn more about the topics mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.coloradorealestateleaders.com.